Are these rates finally changing the Orange County market? Well, we're going to find out today. My name is Dean Odell. I'm with 7 Gables Real Estate in the Odell Group. It's time for another Tustin Talks. I brought in a guest today to help me host this because his mother, my wife, flew to New York for the weekend, and here he is. This is Joe, our 10-year-old. What are you? A Dalmatian? No, you're not a Dalmatian. You're a 10-year-old dachshund. That's what he is. Anyway, so Joe, you hang in there, you watch and learn. Okay, so we're going to go to the charts and we are going to start with the Orange County market. And towards the end of this, we are going to review the Tustin market, which you'll only find here on Tustin Talks. So let's get started. All right, so looking at this first chart, the active listing inventory, well, look at the blue line. Normally our inventory is going down. It is going up a little bit. That's kind of unusual for this time of year. So we're going to need to keep our eye on that. That could be signaling possibly a change in the market, right? So if you look at where we are today, there's 2,408 homes on the market. That is up from 2 weeks ago at 2,340. And last year we were at 3,656. But like I said, a little bit unusual when you look at the previous years to be climbing in inventory right now. That could be a result of interest rates. So now looking at Orange County demand year over year for the last 30 days, let's compare the years here. So right now we are at 1,335 homes that went into escrow. 2 weeks ago, it was 1,414. Last year, 1,427. And you could see the 3-year average prior to that was 2,206. So if you look at these lines and you look at the years, you're going to notice this is pretty normal behavior for this time of year. We do start to see demand go down. But again, in that previous slide, what was unusual is we saw listings going up. So let's go to the next one. Okay, looking at Orange County expected marketing time, today we are sitting at 54 days. This is an average among all price ranges. So if we look at where that fits on the scale up at the top, 54 days is still technically a hot seller's market. And if we look at the blue line, which is this year, we can see that it's climbing right now, which is really pretty normal. The only time we didn't have it climbing was in the COVID year of 2020 and then the following year, 2021, because we were making up for lost time there. Last year, we had 77 days and the 3-year average prior to that is 87. So if you look at prior to COVID, normally we're sitting in a fairly balanced market for this time of year. But as it is now, we are in a hot seller's market still. One thing we like to see with expected marketing time is we like to break it down by price so that you guys can see what's actually going on in your price range. Because as you'll see, it's a hot seller's market all the way up to about $2 million. And then it becomes a balanced market in the $2 to $4 million range. And then it becomes a deep buyer's market over the $4 million range. So if you look at this chart, you'll be able to see how the market time now it compares to last year and what percent of the current inventory is on the market in those price ranges relative to the demand. So you might want to freeze this chart for a second and take a look. Okay, so next we're going to move to the Tustin data chart. If you've been watching this and you have a real good memory or you want to play back, it's been 4 months or so since we've had any green arrows in those top 4 categories. So if we look at those categories, you can see what's for sale now and how that's gone down, especially in the 92782 zip code. My goodness, they're down 63%. That is a big number. That's 2 out of every 3 homes is not on the market versus last year. You look at the new listings coming on, and you can see for the first time in the city of Tustin, we have seen an increase. Not much, just 3 homes, but it's an increase. Looking at the solds, you can see how those compare and how much those are down from the previous years. But again, we got to say to ourselves, is it down because things are more expensive, interest rates are higher, or is it down just because there's not that much inventory for buyers to choose from? I think we're going to see that play out this next year, and we'll talk more about it. But on pendings, if we go through the zip codes, you can see how that compares. And you can also see the city of Tustin all of a sudden caught fire and is up quite a bit from last year. So that may have just been some timing. Their solds were down and their pendings were up. So that could just be a difference in timing for the month. So that's kind of an interesting fact. You look at months of inventory, you can see that the months of inventory have fallen in most of the zip codes and 2 of the 3, but in Tustin, it has remained the same. You can check out the average active prices. You can see that they're all up from last year, except for the 92782, the less higher priced homes coming up in that zip code. And then original list price and final list price, you can look at those two and you can see that in 92705, which is the more expensive zip code, one of the more expensive zip codes for sure, they're not selling as tight to price. So whether that's mispricing, whether that's interest rates going up, time will tell. But that's kind of interesting there that we're starting to see that percentage fall. Last year it was 99, now it's 98, 97 versus 96 this year. And then down below, we see the average days on the market for all the zip codes, and you can see they're all 22 days and under, which is pretty good. Still a hot seller's market, right? So that's the Tustin data chart, and I just have one more chart we're going to put up here for you that you can freeze on your screen and take a look at. Just want to talk about this because, there's a lot of talk about a foreclosure market out there, and I want you guys to see how slim the chances of that are, or at least how far away we are from a foreclosure market at this point. These are all the properties in all the counties of Southern California. Look at the total for all of Southern California. How many homes are currently active that are in a distressed situation? There's only 129 of them. 64 of them went into escrow last month. You guys, that is nothing. I mean, that is all of Southern California. So anybody who's predicting this foreclosure market, we're not seeing it in the data at all. And people have too much equity in their homes. So let's move to our advice and talk more about what you guys can do in this market. All right. Well, I hope you're not as sleepy as Joe is back here, laying in his bed. Hopefully I'm not boring you guys with my advice here that I'm coming on to. So let's talk about our advice. All right. So buyers, I want to tell you, it's still very tough out there. We just had an offer yesterday that property came up in the mid 1.3s or so. It was underpriced. It was obvious it was a little underpriced. Just spoke to the agent about how that went, and that particular property ended up with about 12 offers, half of them over 1.450 on that property. And the house still needs a lot of work. And I'm told that it sold well above 1.5s, possibly into the 1.6 range. So it's still very crazy out there. And I know you guys are frustrated, but just be patient. Do not overpay for something. Things will improve. Things will get better. This cannot last forever. So what's holding this market up, buyers and sellers? It's the lack of inventory. Obviously, you still got a lot of buyers out there that want to buy, and there's a lack of inventory. But when you start breaking it down and saying what would have to happen in the big picture of things to really change the market, it could change pretty quickly. We're starting to get a lot of calls now, and we're looking and talking to people about their situations. And you know what? Not everybody's ready to do something yet, but there are people out there that are starting to feel the pressure of this economy. And so I do believe that this will play itself out over the next year. So just be very, very cautious, buyers and sellers. Don't be overly optimistic because the market is not what it was a year or two ago. Even though we still have these multiple offer situations on an underpriced property, that gets bid up to maybe current market value, maybe a little bit more. We're not seeing this happen in all price ranges. Okay. So everybody's situation is different. And you really need that expertise to kind of understand. Also, you need to understand the difference between listing agents and what they do for you. There's a big difference. I mean, a big difference. If you haven't actually spent time talking to an agent and having them explain to you what they do differently than their competition, then you owe it to yourself to talk to us so that we can show you how we continue to get top dollar for our clients and make sure that we get them just the most amazing exposure and everybody through their house to create as much demand as we can. So we have a way to do that we know our competition does not. So let's talk about that among some other things and give us a call. Love to help you out. Or if you just need to talk about the market and maybe what's best for you. People call us for advice all the time. You can call us anytime. It doesn't mean that we necessarily have to list your house today. Okay, so we're here for you. Give us a call. Joe reminded me of one more thing. You know what? Don't forget to like and subscribe here. Okay, so this is going to show up to you every 2 weeks and you will be informed on this Orange County market. We'll see you on the next Tustin Talks. Thanks.